Though God had driven Cain from his home, it was Cain's choice to live outside the presence of God. Essentially, Cain's punishment in becoming a wanderer and a fugitive was to lose all sense of belonging and identification with a community. Living in the land of Nod, Cain lived without roots in isolation. For his sin, Cain was made a castaway and later became a godless, hollow person in the land of Nod. Upon separating himself from God, Cain built a society totally detached from God. The Bible tells us that the children of Cain followed in his path and established a godless civilization. The word Nod, in Hebrew, means wanderer, exile, or fugitive. This corresponds to God's word to Cain that he would be a fugitive and a wanderer on the earth. Some Bible scholars have suggested that Nod is not an actual place, rather, the Bible simply means that, wherever Cain went, it could be called the land of the wanderer. Cain settling east of Eden implies that he was further removed from the garden than Adam and Eve were. His fate was to live the life of an outsider. The fact that Cain left God's presence suggests that he lived the rest of his life alienated from God. The land of Nod was where Cain settled after he was punished by God for the murder of his brother Abel. The Bible reads, "Then Cain went away from the presence of the Lord and settled in the land of Nod, east of Eden." No one knows where the land of Nod was located, only that it was east of Eden. The Bible does not mention the land of Nod again. The land of Nod is a place mentioned in the book of Genesis of the Hebrew Bible, located on the east of Eden, where Cain was exiled by God after Cain had murdered his brother Abel. Middle Ages theologians said Nod wasn't a literal city, it was endless desert populated by monsters. Origen of Alexandria took the "hell is separation from God" approach and wrote that the city of Nod wasn't a physical city at all, it was a metaphor for being cut off from God's grace. Roman Catholics believe the word Nod comes from nud, to wander, and so the city of Nod was a metaphor for being cast out and forced to wander. It was a state of being, in other words, rather than a physical place. Evangelical Protestants say that since Cain was exiled and traveled to the land of Nod with his wife, but the only people who existed to that point lived in the Garden of Eden, Cain must have married and then been exiled with his sister. The city was then built by Cain himself, though how you call a place with 3 inhabitants, Cain, his nameless sister a wife, and his son Enoch, a city, is left unanswered. Progressive Protestant denominations believe the story of Adam and Eve doesn't describe the creation of all humans, but just a specific lineage of humans, namely the lineage that gave rise to the ancient Israelites. Other lineages of people already existed. Cain met his wife after leaving the garden and intermarried into a separate lineage. With them, he built the city of Enoch. Some Anglicans believe the city was built not by Cain, but by his descendants, specifically on the Euphrates in present-day Iraq. The issue of where Cain's wife came from is left unaddressed. If you like my videos, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel.